Have you ever tried a case with a little bit of fire in your belly?
You know,
That's a yes.
Does that mean drinking while on the
I was going to say yes eventually, but I want to blame it on someone else first.
Okay.
Some of my early trials, I'd be at lunch and for some pretty prominent trial lawyers, and I'm looking over, God, he got a martini for lunch. We got another martini for lunch.
Oh, God.
And he walked back in court, no notes, no nothing, and just like Spence style, just shellacking a witness. Because I didn't know that it's all about telling your story. Yeah. You know, whoever the witness is, you just start telling your story. And so I kind of learned from Phil Corboy. It wasn't him, but he had a different drink. But in Chicago, and he was the first one to kind of make me realize that it's like you said, unanimous is real hard. But I said, God, unanimous. I mean, he said, you know what? If you can get 8, you can get 9, you get 10, you can get 12. Because if you got 7 or 8 that are with you, they're going to get the rest for you.
Yeah.
Because the only way to get out of there is to get everybody to agree. And the 7 or 8 that are with you, you hope, are going to get the other 2 or 3. And I thought that makes sense. I mean, I don't know if it always works like that, but people in Chicago, buddies there, don't have any more. I've only had 1 civil hung jury, and nobody there has really had any problem with hung juries.
Well, I'm sorry. So get back to you drinking. Go back.
Oh, yeah. I kind of started. I do every once in a while. I'll have a beer, a nice craft beer or something, but never more than 1.
There's a
You
fantastic.
could have one. I think no more than 1, or else it gets
Right.
a little.
There's a fantastic film. I forget
It's
the
like if
name
you
of
shake
it.
more than 3 times, you're.
Yeah. You're playing with it. No, Mads Mikkelsen did a great film, but there's also a book called Drunk by Edward Slingerland that basically says that there's actually this area between 0.01 and 0.0405 that you are at your peak creativeness.
I think that's what Michael Jordan called the zone.
The zone, right?
Loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, anything over that, you're actually close to being drunk. But 0.01, 0.05, you're at your creative peak. Great for discussion, great for debate, great for creative writing, songs, whatever the case might be.
My old barber used to say, Sir Richard, my old barber, he'd say,
Sir Richard?
Sir Richard, he was a Mexican guy in East LA, and I think he called himself Sir Richard.
It's a great name.
Yeah, and he said, you know, drinks are like breasts on a woman.
Okay.
One's not enough and 3's too many.
Okay. Brings it home.
So I get his.
And that's why we're having back Mara Fiore.
Yeah.
I get his, that, like you're saying, there's a point there where you're.
Yeah. Where you're really operating on all cylinders.
Yeah, like if I play golf and I have a couple Bloody Marys, man, I'm hitting some shots.
Yeah.
But if I have more than 2 Bloody Marys, I'm hitting it in the water.
Where'd that ball go?
Yeah, there is an audio version of that book. I would highly encourage it, but it talks
check it
about
out.
your creative process, because what lawyers do is no different than what any other artist does. You have to find the way to approach this discussion.
This is the hardest thing for lawyers to know.
And
They can't get past that. They think so linear that I have to be prepared. It's about this fact. I got to do these facts and this. When, I mean, ask Sean. That's not what it is.
You would think it's counterintuitive, because you'd think I would have a drink when I'm freaking out, not as prepared as I'd like to be.
Right.
But I won't do it then. But maybe I should, because I normally have one when I go, okay, Jamie's taking the 2 witnesses. I only have 1 smaller, couple of these witnesses. I'm really prepared. I'll have a beer or a 1.5 a small port lunch. But it should be the other way, I guess. But I won't do it. I'm too scared to do it when I'm not fully.
One of my best crosses
on my
I ever
game.
did was because the night before I was trying a case in San Diego, and I had like 1 witness the next day was an economist, and I was like, I'll just do like a 3-second cross, like who cares? So went out and I got, I had a lot of drinks, and I had an epiphany while I was drinking. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go here with my crowd. This is what I'm gonna do.
You got real creative.
Oh, I got real creative.
You're absolutely correct. That approach is the way to do that.
So I went in the next morning. What I thought was going to be, it ended up being like an hour cross. He was beaten by best witness. I made him add up all the numbers. I quoted Bob Dylan.
Oh, cool.
That was
Which way the wind blows.
Yeah,
you don't need a weatherman to tell you which way
exactly.
the wind blows.
But this guy was also a lawyer. He was an economist that also was a lawyer. So I was like, hey, I got to ask you a question. I said, who's the most quoted man in legal history? And the guy's like, I know this one. The defense lawyer's like, oh God, where is this going? And he's like, it's Bob Dylan. I was like, what does Bob Dylan say? He's like, you don't need a weatherman to tell you which way the wind blows. I was like, that's right. So I was like, let's talk about a few weathermen. And I went up and just started writing all the money that all of their experts had earned in this case. And he started adding it up, and I had him adding future damages to everybody else. It was hilarious. They kept objecting. The judge is like, he's just doing math. Like, he's an economist. He's your expert. The defense would let him answer a question.
Bob Dylan's the most quoted man in legal history.
Yeah.
Everybody
For
uses
that quote, pretty
I
much.
use that slide in every close I've ever had.
But if you get it into evidence, even better. Get a witness to say it. But it's true, because they say you don't need to have an expert essentially prove what most people just know.
Well, it's like spirits, right? So in spirits, you need the money crunchers, the number of people, the Excel spreadsheet people. But in order to create a product that's successful, it has to look good. You have to have the
Yeah.
creatives involved.
Yeah.
So it's no different than legally speaking. You have to have your people who do all the work, the grunt work, the paperwork, the typos, all that stuff. You've got to have someone that's thinking outside the box.
Correct, you have to.
And they have to have someone,
And they can't be caught in the weeds.
They can't. They have to be so comfortable in their own skin that they allow their brain to just think outside the box.